there. So today we're going to be working with a multiplication chart that goes from 0 to 12. And so I wanted to talk to you about a couple things. First of all, we are going to be looking at patterns on a multiplication chart. And so you can see right here it says multiplication chart, and it starts with times 0 times 0. So basically how to use a multiplication chart is you take whatever's on the left side and you scroll over until you find the number that you want. And let's say it's 0 times 9, then you would come down and the 2 meet right here. 9 times 0 is 0. If I wanted to know what 9 times 9 is, I could scroll down on the side, scroll over here, and then I come straight down and straight over, and 9 times 9 is 81. If you've never used a multiplication chart before, that is exactly how you do it. So, when we look at a multiplication chart, we are looking specifically for patterns within the chart. So the very first pattern that you're going to see is a pattern with zeros. You can see all the way down to the 12 on this side and all the way over to the 12 on that side. Anything times 0 is going to be 0. You guessed it. Anything times 0 is going to be 0. So believe it or not, you have learned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 math facts just from that one pattern. You've learned 0 times each of these numbers. So 0 times 1, 0 times 2, 0 times 3. And you've also learned 1 times 0, 2 times 0, 3 times 0, 4 times 0. So you've learned all of those in a matter of seconds. Anything times 0 is 0. That is one of the patterns. I'm going to write this on here. Anything times 0 is 0. And you'll need to know that when we get to the multiplication, the properties of multiplication. So the other thing that you need to know is, just like we had the identity property of addition, we also have the identity property of multiplication. That property says that anything times 1 is just going to be itself. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4, so on and so forth all the way down. So that's the identity property of multiplication. No matter what the other factor is, if it's multiplied by 1, the product is itself. Remember that the factors are the numbers being multiplied together, and the product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Anything times 1 is itself. Now, there are some other really cool patterns that we can see on our multiplication charts. For instance, patterns of tens. We know that any number times 10 is going to be the number with a 0 in the ones place. It's going to be that number with a 0 in the ones place. Even when we get down here to 11 times 10 is just 11 with a 0 in the ones place. 10 times 10 is just 10 with a 0 in the ones place. 12 times 10 is just 12 with a 0 in the ones place. So we're going to go and we're going to outline our tens because we can count by tens and figure out how many groups of 10 we have. All right. Notice we're eliminating some of the multiplication problems that we have. We already know the answers to them. So 5 has some patterns too. Excuse me. the first one is if we look at this, 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10. Anytime 5 is multiplied by an even number, you'll have a 0 in the ones place. Anytime it's multiplied by an odd number, you'll have a 5 in the ones place. And when we multiply by 5s, we just count by 5 the number of times that we are multiplying. So if we're multiplying by 6, 5 times 6, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So we can count by 5 that many times to find out the answer. All right, 5s are pretty easy. We're going to get rid of our 5s. All right, now you may not be able to see because these lines don't go all the way through. I'm not, coloring in everything to show you that we've learned all these. I may go back and do that later. But you're going to see another pattern that is kind of a fun pattern. And this is the pattern of 11s. 11s are really, really easy until you get to 11 times 11. That's when things get a little bit more difficult. But 11 times 1 is 0. Sorry, 11 times 0 is 0. 11 times 1 is 11. 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 99, and 110. Do the same thing here. Coming down. We already know. Okay. Once we get down here to this bottom, these two are two that we're going to have to learn. 121 is 11 times 11. And 132 is either 11 times 12 or 12 times 11. Because remember, we can put them in any order. What that means is we really have a limited amount of facts that we have to learn. So if we shade this in, we have, there's another thing of patterns on here that's super easy that we can go with, and that's the patterns of 2s. Sorry, I should have known this. Multiplying by 2 is just 2 groups of that number. So it's the same thing as adding the number twice. So 3 times 2 is the same as 3 plus 3, which equals 6. 2 times 4 is the same thing as 4 plus 4, which equals 8. 2 times 7 is the same thing as 7 plus 7, which equals 14. Or, if you have to write them out, you can just count by 2s. So these, again, are super easy. So we'll cross them out just because they're so easy to do. All right. The ones that we have left that we need to absolutely memorize are going to be these 4 here, which are 3 times 3, 4 times 3, 3 times 4, and 4 times 4. And we have to memorize our 6s through our 9s. So we have to memorize this group right here, which there are 8 of those. And we have to memorize down here our 6s through our 9s right here. And on this side, we have to memorize our 6s through our 9s right here. And then we have to memorize our 12s. And we only have a couple of 12s that we have to memorize because the rest of them can be done with little tips and tricks like we just did. So when you get to your STAR test or your test for this unit or any of the quizzes that we're going to do, you can always write out your own multiplication chart to help you. Okay? Again, when we look at the number of spaces that we have on here, we have 144. We have 144 multiplication facts on here. We only actually have to learn 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52. So less than half of them we actually have to memorize. But I'm going to show you some real quick tricks that you can use to help you with your nines. I'm going to show you some really quick tips and tricks that you can use to learn your nines. So, nines. So, there is a pattern. When we get to our nines, the pattern looks like this. When multiplying 9 times a number from 1 to 10, 9 times a number from 1 to 10, you're going to subtract 1 from the number being multiplied by 10. Subtract 1 from the factor being multiplied by 10, or sorry, by 9. This will be the digit in the tens place. Then subtract the digit in the tens place from 9 to find the digit in the ones place. So I'll write that down. Subtract the digit in the tens place from 9 to get the digit in the ones place. All right, let's look at some examples of this, okay? I'm going to start out with 9 times 10. I'm going to start out with 9 times 10. And we're going to look at 9 times 10, and then we're going to go from there. So let me find another one of my fancy schmancy pens that I love. And let's start out with 9 times 10. The first step says subtract 1 from the factor being multiplied. The factor being multiplied is 10. So 10 minus 1 equals 9. That is the number in our product that's going to be in the tens place. Now, to find out what number goes in the ones place, you need to subtract this number, the number in the nines place, from 9 itself. 9 minus 9 is 0. Therefore, 9 times 10 equals 90. When you look at this, the sum of the digits 9 and 0, if you were to add these together, they should equal 9. So the sum of the digits equals 9 when you're done. Now, there are lots of really cool patterns with the 9s. This is one way to show it. So if we did 9 times 9 equals, well, take 1 away from what we're multiplying by. That's going to be 8. Take 8 away from 9. That's going to be 1. 81. If we add 8 and 1 together, they equal 9. 8 minus 1 is 7. 9 minus 7 is 2, 72. 7 minus 1 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. We can check this by saying, oh, 8 plus 1, that's 9. 7 plus 2, that's 9. 6 plus 3, that's 9. And we just keep on going. 9 times 6 equals 54. 9 times 5 equals 45. 9 times 4 equals 36. 9 times 3 equals 27. 9 times 2 equals 18. 9 times 1 equals 9. 9 times 0 equals 0. And we'll talk to you soon.